We're going to get started. My name is Christy Ursenia, and I am the Training and Product Specialist here at Realty Executives International. And today we're going to talk about customizing your agent or your team site. And more importantly, I'm going to go into why this matters. So the first thing we need to understand is who's looking at these websites. You're spending a lot of time on making sure these look great and getting your listings up, but who's paying attention to these websites? So if we look at the buyer profiles, you'll be able to see who's buying houses right now. And if you look right here, the biggest group of buyers right now is the older millennials and the younger millennials. So between the ages of 26 and 36 is making up most of those buyers right now. And as you guys know, that's the ones that are most likely to use the computer to find what they're looking for. Also, if you look at marital status, the most amount of people are married couples, followed secondly by single females. So when you're building your website, the thing you want to start to think about is, who are buying houses right now? And if it's that age group between 26 and 36 who are married or single females, you have to start thinking, okay, what kind of information is that group going to find valuable? And then you've got 65% of people are repeat buyers and 35% are first-time home buyers. So this can come in handy when you're building your site because it's good to understand that, more than a third of people, it's going to be their first time buying a home. So they might be interested in how the process works, and you might be able to answer questions on your website to first-time home buyers. And then repeat buyers, they're more interested in maybe selling a house as well. So this is another thing that you can pay attention to when you're starting to build those sites. So here's kind of how that works. The buyer profiles, their behavior, they begin the search. With the exception of that oldest generation, most buyers start the home buying process by searching online. Websites are the most commonly used source for buyers. So 95% of people who are interested in buying a house are going to a website. And then 93% of millennials frequently go online to help throughout the home buying process. And as we learned from that first slide, the millennials are the biggest group of home buyers at this moment. So they're the ones that are going online to get help throughout the home buying process, and they're also the ones buying the most homes right now. So you're going to need to make sure that your website has a lot of really good information on it, because not only are they looking to find their actual home, but they're looking for information on the home buying process itself. And this is how people are finding homes nowadays. So you've got, websites are taking 90%. This is how they find, it's over 90% is websites online. And then realtors is the next one. So a lot of people are nervous about these sites that you don't need to have a realtor. But if you look, this is where people are still going to realtors. That's it's close to that 90% mark. So buyers who are 71 plus, who, as we saw from that first slide, are the ones that are not, the lowest percentage of home buyers right now. They're the ones who are more likely to reach out to an agent via the phone the very first time. Millennials are most likely to find an agent through a mobile app or a website. And the mobile app, if you guys have a Realty Executive site, you know that our sites are mobile responsive, so it's kind of like having an app. And then the other interesting fact is nearly 70% of buyers only interview one agent. So what that tells us is they're doing their research online first. They're figuring out who you are based on, your online profile, your own website. And then when they think they're ready, they're going to call you. And then they're only going to interview one person most of the time. So if you can catch them before they call you, then you're pretty much going to have them. So this is the percentage of buyers that by age group that contact one agent, two agents, three agents, four or more agents. So as you can see, across all age groups, it's about 70% that only interview that one agent. So it's really important to have a really good profile so that people understand who you are before they call you, because once you get them to actually interview you, you're in the door. There was I think it's Realtor.com that did this survey, but the most important factors in agent selection are honesty and trustworthiness, agent experience, reputation, the agent is a friend or family member, and knowledge of the neighborhood. So we can help you with 4 of the 5 of these. Obviously, if you know people and you're a friend or family member, we can't help you with that. But honesty and trustworthiness, agent experience, reputation, and knowledge of the neighborhood are all things that can come through a website. So we can make sure that your profile lets people know that you've got the experience and the reputation and the knowledge of the neighborhood. And then honesty and trustworthiness, the best way to convey that is by letting people know that you've worked with other people. So we've got the reviews part of the website that you're going to make sure that you have your past clients let people know how they had dealing with you. So, people like to know how other people's experiences were. And so we'll take full advantage of that review so that they can understand that you're honest and trustworthy. And that also helps with your reputation. So we'll work on that in a little bit. Most home searches last 10 to 12 weeks, which is interesting to note, just because it might take a while. So they contact you, you're going to spend 10 to 12 weeks to find that perfect home for them. And then 88% of buyers use a real estate agent when purchasing their home. And the reason for that, it's really easy now to go online and find the house that you're interested in. You can get all the way into the price. You can get all the information you need without driving around and looking at individual homes. But that process is the hard part, and buyers need help understanding that process. So it's not as easy. It's easy to find the home you want, but it's not as easy to get in there and negotiate, make sure that there's not things that you should watch out for, that you guys as the real estate agents know if there's going to be structural problems or if they're asking too much or things like that. So that's the process. That's the process that the buyers need help with. And if you can convey on your website that you understand that process and that you're the professional and that it's something that they should be doing is using you because you understand that process, then you're going to get people to give you that call. So this is what most people say they need the real estate agent for. Understanding the process, like we talked about. Identify features and faults of the home. So that's exactly what you guys do every day, is help figure out what's going to be a liability and what's going to be a feature that could either help with the family that they're moving into the home or something that'll be good for them to resale later. Negotiate better sales terms. Improve buyers' area knowledge. This is a big one because a lot of times people are interested in not only the home, but they need to know about the neighborhood. So that's when your knowledge of the neighborhood comes in handy, because you understand the school system, you understand the community centers and the libraries and that kind of thing. So you can help people understand that this is a great house, but the neighborhood's not really built for small kids. There's not a lot of parks, or maybe, you know what, you have small kids, so let's start our search in this area because I know for sure that these schools are great. And then this is kind of the stuff that starts going down. So service providers, you guys obviously have great relationships with, cleaners and lenders and that kind of thing that they're interested in. Better pricing, shorten the length of search. This can come in handy on your website as well because they can set up a listing alert so they'll know what's out there and you can help shorten that time a little bit. And then obviously suggest mortgage lenders. So let's start looking at your profile. How can we improve your website, and how can we really get down to making these websites really customized so that you're showing off not only who you are, but that you understand the neighborhoods and the cities that you're representing? So why does your profile matter? Because building your brand takes time and repetition. You want people to see your name everywhere. So if you're writing a lot of good blog posts or you have a lot of good custom pages that come up when people search for, things to do in whatever city you're in or houses in whatever city you're in, they keep saying your name, they're going to start to think, man, this guy really knows the area. Hyperlocal content paints you as an expert. And what hyperlocal means is, if you're a real estate agent in Scottsdale, that's great. But Scottsdale has a lot of different neighborhoods. So maybe pick where you're most specialized in. For instance, there's a neighborhood called DC Ranch in Scottsdale that you could really write about. You guys know your cities and you guys know the neighborhoods within them. So when you're writing some content, make sure to focus on really hyper local areas and try to get down to where people understand that, Scottsdale's big, but I'm interested in North Scottsdale or South Scottsdale or Central, for instance. Your profile can have SEO benefits. So one of the things you really want to happen when you have a website is you want yourself to come up first on that first page of a Google search, and making sure that your profile is set up so that people understand who you are, what areas you serve, and what kind of real estate you help with. It'll help you guys get up on that Google search. And then, as we just learned from all this previous slides, clients are always online. So your profile matters because when people are looking for an agent or a home, they need to be able to pull up information about you. So I'm going to show you an example of a website. And this is just my test site, but the profile comes up a couple of times. So on this very first page, you're going to see a little mini bio here. This is your short bio. And it just gives people a little taste of who you are. And then if you click the About button on your website, this is where your bio shows up and your specialties and your areas served, and also where your testimonials show up. So you really want to have something that looks like this instead of somebody clicking the About page and it's got your picture and your contact information, but this is totally blank. The other reason you want to make sure that you're doing a good job with your profile is maybe you're using a site that's not a Realty Executive site, but people know you're with Realty Executives. So if they go to realtyexecutives.com and they say, okay, well, I want an agent in London, Ontario, then they're going to see your profile. They can look at the details page, and you want to make sure that you've got a lot of good information here so that they can understand who you are, and then they can visit your site, and that can link to a Realty Executive site or it can link to your own personal site. But if someone comes looking for an agent here and they have just a blank, if you don't fill out anything, this part ends up being blank. So you really want to make sure that you have something there. So when you're thinking about your profile, there's a couple steps that are going to make this easier. So gathering your info is always going to be step one. So think about your skills, your specialties, areas served, years of expertise, awards, and accolades. And a lot of people forget those last two because it kind of feels like you're just bragging, but it's important for people to understand who you are. And if you're new to real estate, some of this stuff can be a little daunting because you don't want to say, well, I have 0 years of experience selling houses. But there's some reason you got into real estate. There's some kind of special skills you have, whether it's helping people find their perfect home, or maybe you worked with a builder before and you were in home building. Maybe you were in customer service, but there's going to be some reason you decided to jump to real estate, and that can help get people to understand how you could still be the right real estate agent for them, even if you don't have a ton of experience. So put all of that stuff in there. I'm also going to send you guys a link at the end of this. We have someone here who's great, and she can actually help you with your bio. So I can send you the link, and it's like a survey that you'll take, that you'll fill out information about yourself, and she'll put it together in a way that reads like a biography. So I'll get that to you guys when I send the recording. So here's another one. It's just an example of that blank page where it's important to have information in your bio, even if you're not using a Realty Executive site, because when people do that search, it'll end up blank. And then here's a good filled out one. So once you've gathered all of the information that we talked about, you want to beef up your bio. If you look at this one, this is a realtor.com bio. But I picked this one because he's got a lot of good information in here. His information is probably a little hard to read, but it says, Brian Bair is America's #2 realtor, according to the 1000, the real estate industry's most prestigious ranking report released yearly by RealTrends. So he's talking about, his awards, his accolades. He's talking about how many homes he sold. And then he's got his years of experience, specializations, areas served. And then he's got a price range in here, which might help. The other thing that you should definitely be doing when you're doing your bio, because it's on the same page, is making sure you've got some testimonials. So if you're using the Realty Executives websites, you'll notice on that first page, you've got a button that says contact, and that's just a web lead form. And then you'll see the next one, if you have testimonials, it'll say testimonials, and then it'll take your clients straight to the page where the testimonials are. Right now, this is a manual process for us. And the way you would do that is under the agent website management, under marketing, you'll see where it says reviews. And then you can just manually add those reviews. So if you haven't done that already, go ahead and add your reviews, and then your button will show up on that front page that says reviews or testimonials. And that's part of that honesty and trustworthiness. If people can see that you've worked with a lot of happy clients in the past, it's going to help them understand who you are, and it's going to help with that trustworthiness factor. So the next part of really customizing your web pages is to build custom web pages. You want these websites to reflect your knowledge of not only real estate, but of the communities you're in. And one of the best ways you can do that is by building custom web pages. So why does it matter? Again, this is talking about the hyper-local content. So you've got your bio that says that you work in these certain neighborhoods, and you might even have that listed as one of your areas served. But if you have a web page specifically built to talk about schools in your area, that's going to really help people understand that you know the neighborhoods. You can also do web pages on each individual neighborhood in the city you serve, for instance. And that's going to help you with those SEO benefits and the fact that people are always online. So step one of building these web pages is you have to get your hyper-local content. So you guys know that there's always a way to find what you're looking for, but you know the areas you serve. So you know the local events and the interesting parts of where you live. That might be something that people are interested in when they're looking for a home. Include a call to action. So the whole reason you are having these web pages is obviously you guys want more leads. So if you have a great article that's written about, some award a local school has received, or how you guys just won one of the best outdoor areas in the state or something, why should those readers care, and what can they do about it? So you write these great articles, and then you should have your contact information on the bottom. Or you can do a web lead form where people can say, okay, well, I read this, I want to live in this neighborhood now. How do I get a hold of you? So that call to action is going to be really important. And then obviously photos, links, and videos. You want people to look at your website and stay on the page they look at. And if you go to a web page that's just a bunch of words, it's a little harder to get people to be really excited about that. So here's one that we've built, and I'll show you the actual site in a minute, but David Salaya he was a real estate agent in North Park, and what he did was he's in the San Diego area, so he wrote an article about each of the individual neighborhoods near him. So North Park, the Gaslamp Quarter, Pacific Beach, Balboa Park. And there's a lot of really good information about each city on these web pages. The other thing that it helped him with, if I type in North Park lifestyle, David's article still comes up first. And you can see that this is where the videos and the photos and the links come in handy. So, you know, he's got a great photo of North Park. He's got a map that shows exactly where North Park is. And then he's talking about the different activities that go on in that neighborhood. So he's adding links. So there's a farmer's market, and if people want to check out the details, they can click here and it's going to go to that website. And linking to other websites also helps out your SEO, because then it shows that it's an actual working site that you're giving useful information on. So that can help you. And then he's talking about buying and renting in North Park, and he's built, if you click here to access the current list of homes for sale, you can see that it's going to pull up the listings in this certain zip code. So he's done a couple of calls to action here. He's talking about if you want to buy or rent, click here. This is going to take them to his website where there's a current list of homes for sale or rent. And then he also finishes by saying, to get your personal comp list, or if you would like to simply discuss the North Park life and ask a few questions, please contact me directly. So he's got his phone number here. He's got his phone number here. There's no doubt that David wants you to call him about living in this area. And then he's given you a way to do that. And he's also given the list of current homes. So this is a great post because it's not only got the photos, the links, it's also got the great call to action at the bottom. And I'm going to go back, show you guys a couple other things. So this one's actually a blog post, which we'll talk about in a second, but I want to show you guys how to build those web pages if you're interested. And then I'll show you how you can link that property search as well. So from Prime Agent, you're going to go to Marketing, and then you're going to go to your Agent Website Management area. And here's where you're going to control everything on your website. So to build those web pages, there's a little button here that says Web Pages. And when you first start, if you haven't done anything, it's going to say Info instead of Communities here. And you can change this name to whatever you want it to. You're just going to click Edit, and then you can change this. And that's going to be called the parent page. So that's going to show up here. And then you'll see that the subpages are going to be underneath your parent page. So then you can add these subpages by clicking Add Web Page. And you're going to give it a title. The URL is automatically going to fill in. So if I decide to call this, you can see that that's typing as I'm typing. And then you can go ahead and fill out your content. So you'll also notice that as I'm typing, the meta description is filling in for the SEO settings. So you're going to want to make sure that the first couple sentences really nail what the point of this web page is. So if you're talking about your neighborhood, make sure you put it in that first sentence so that it shows up there. You can click Insert, and then this is where you can insert videos. And you can use YouTube or you can use Vimeo. You know, when you share a video from YouTube, you can do it a couple of ways. So you can click the share button, And you can either copy this or you can click the embed button and it'll give you the embed code. I like to embed because it makes it a little easier when you just has the size a little easier. And then when you first paste something, it's going to look like that blue color and you're going to see those little dots, and that's how you can make this bigger or smaller. To insert photos, you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to click Insert Image. And then you'll just click whatever photo you have. You can either pick one that you've already loaded or you can pick one from your computer. And then you can add a link. So if I'm going to say, you know, check out this community center, you can just highlight that. And you can either click this little button that looks like a chain, and then it'll ask you for the web address, which you'll have copied somewhere. And then this is the important part. So when you're doing these links, make sure that you put target new window. That way, when someone clicks on it, it doesn't change your website. It doesn't redirect them. It opens a new tab. So I see that there's a question about how do you link a property search. So I'll go ahead and do that. So from your website, you're going to go to this here and you're going to pick a zip code. So I'm going to click this is actually Phoenix, but you guys will pick wherever you want. And then this is going to give you that area. So you'll see here, you know, it's this big long address up here. If you just copy this, and then you can pick wherever you want to add that link. And then you can save that. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this on my site. Here's the new one. When I click here, some listings, it's going to pull up those listings in that zip code that I gave it. So that's how you can do that same thing that David just did. And if you're looking to do rent, so you would just click rental, and then once it did that search, you would use this one. So you can do rentals or you can do homes for sale. The other thing you can do on these web pages is I mentioned that it's really important to have a call to action. So let's go back to that one that I just was working on. And you've got a couple of ways to do this call to action. So the way David did it was he just said, you know, give me a call. I'm here to help. You guys can do either that same thing or you can do a form. And the forms are just so if you go to like your front page and you click this is a web lead form, and you can use these. So if I click back to this edit pages button and I click insert forms, here's the ones I have. So the consumer lead form is the one on that front page. The selling lead form is the one that's from the selling page. And then you also can create your own. So for now, I'm just going to use the consumer lead form because I have it. And it says copy and paste this right here. So you're just going to copy the form code, paste it onto your website. I just save those. And then if I go back to my page, you'll see that now that form's here. Now, maybe you're talking about a school, or maybe you're talking about a specific neighborhood, and you want to have something a little less generic than questions, need advice, complete this form, because you're talking about something really specific in this web page. So what you can do in this case is you can create your very own form that's really specific. So under your marketing tab, agent website management, you'll see that little choice called forms and campaigns. And then you can click create new form. And it's going to give you this little form that lets you then pick the name. You can decide which information you want to gather. So you'll decide which information is required and which information you just would like to get but is not required. So the name is whatever you call it in the background. The title is what your audience is going to see. So this is where you'd say, okay, I'm going to call this North Scottsdale so I know which one it is. And then you're going to say, and then you can decide, okay, so I definitely want first name and last name to be required, and I want email to be required. You know, they might not fill out the mobile phone, so I won't make it required, but I'm going to go ahead and ask for it. And then it's going to show up here so you can see that you've finished it. And then you can add this form. It'll be one of those choices that you pull up. So the forms are great because when they get filled out, it creates a contact for you in the CRM, and it's going to, so you have that contact in here as soon as they fill out that form. So, and then you'll also have it in My Leads area so you can see who you need to follow up with. Let's go back to that dashboard. So those web pages are great, and you should definitely build a few. And if you need help with ideas, customer service or myself are happy to help you come up with what kind of things you could put in those web pages to just get a little more traffic to your site. The other thing you can do is you can start a blog. I'll send you guys a social media calendar that I made at the beginning of the year. Obviously, it's about 6 months through the year now, but there's still some good ideas. I think if you guys start thinking through what you guys do on a daily basis, it's going to be really easy to come up with blog ideas. You know, it's kind of intimidating at first because you're like, what am I going to write about? But if you blog once or twice a month and you think about what questions are being asked on a daily basis by your buyers or your interested sellers, you're going to come up with a lot of great ideas. And the blogs work the exact same way as the web pages. So if you click add new post, you'll see that the title's the same. You can insert videos, links, and images the same way, and then you can insert the forms. So blogging is another great way to make these sites really custom. And then I'll show you one last thing that can really help you customize. There's a couple more areas that you want to make sure are filled out. So under marketing, agent website management, you've got your main dashboard, and you'll see a little area at the bottom left menu that's called customizations. And the homepage search, the footer about section is about realty executives, and you can leave that if you want. You can also change it. The disclaimer, you probably wouldn't want to change unless there's something specific to your MLS that they're asking you to change. But the homepage search placeholder and the featured listings title can be customized. So you can change what this says right here. So maybe you specialize in selling vacation or second homes. You know, let me help you find your next vacation home, that kind of thing can be changed. And then if you want to call this something other than Jane's Listings or whatever your name is, listings, you can do that. You can also change this carousel. So you could call this featured listings, you could call that whatever you want to make it the most appealing and the most specific to what you're doing. And then the last way to customize your website and to really make it custom is these background pictures. When you guys first get a realty executive site, we've put in some photos that are pretty generic because we want them to represent anywhere in America pretty much. And it's kind of just to get you started. What you should definitely do is go in and put some homepage images that represent your community, and some of the places that you've sold would even be okay. So under website settings, you'll see where it says homepage images. And you can use up to 6. And we start you off with some good generic ones. And we've also added in the available images, if you scroll down, we've added a bunch of just generic images that you are welcome to use. But what you could also do is if you click upload images, you can start putting pictures of the area that you serve, maybe local landmarks. You can do some active listings that you have, that kind of thing. So because that's the first thing people see when they go to your site are these background pictures, you really want to make sure that people understand that this is a local person who's selling local real estate. So take a few minutes and look at your site and think, if someone comes to the site, are they going to know by looking at it where I'm located, what I'm doing, what kind of neighborhoods I'm selling in? If not, take a few minutes to update your site. Customer service can be reached by clicking here and doing that online chat. I'm going to send you guys the recording. I'm going to send you that link to help you with your bios. And I'm also going to send you that social media calendar that can help you with some blog ideas. So we're here to help you get these sites really up and running and really personalized and customized. When we rebuilt these, we tried to make sure that there was enough spaces that you guys could really make these sites your own. So spend a little time exploring now that you kind of know what you're doing, and make sure the site is really hyper-local and is speaking to your intended audience. And like I said, any of us will be happy to help you or take a look at your site when you're finished. So do you guys have questions that I can help you with? Denise, I hope I answered your question about the property search. If not, I can reach you offline. Does anyone else have any questions about anything you just saw or about the websites in general, that kind of thing? Okay, Jeff, it looks like you have your hand raised, so I'm going to unmute you so you can ask your question. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, how's it going? Question. When I add new listings like I did this morning, it seems to take a while for them to populate on the website, even though all of the necessary attributes are there. So I went ahead and I added it manually. Will that override the MLS import, or will there be two listings of the same?
It won't show the listing twice because our sites are built to block one, but it'll still take about 24 hours. Right now, our dev team is working on getting a direct feed, so we're hoping within the next few months that time is drastically dropped. But for now, it does take about 24 hours from the time you either manually add a listing or put a listing into the MLS from that time to when it shows up on your site.
I see. All right, that makes sense, because the last couple of days I put them in, and within 7 minutes, Redfin and Trulia and Zillow have them up and running, and then ours are taking almost a day.
Yep, they're working on that now, though, so it shouldn't be too much longer before we're just as quick.
Great, Krista. Thank you.
Sure. Does anyone else have questions I can help with? Okay, it looks like that's the end of the questions. If you guys do have questions later, I'm going to be sending this recording out in probably the next couple of hours, and you can just reply with any questions that you come up with after the fact. And like I said, email us or ask customer service for anything you guys need help-wise, and we will be here. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your mornings to come to this webinar, and I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good rest of your day.